drugs, I mean, that's the situation his mom chose. That's not the situation Dez Bryant chose. I feel they keep dragging him through the mud as far as like he was the one out there cooking it and baking it and serving it up when Dez Bryant wasn't. I mean, one thing they do miss out as far as talking about Dez Bryant is he was an academic All American. But they never bring that up. All you hear about him is he was late. He's 20 years old. I don't know a 20-year-old that's never late anyway. So I mean, the situation they keep talking about as far as the prostitute and everything dealing with him. I mean, it's almost time to really to move on, find the next thing to talk about in sports.
I agree.
As far as the privacy issue, I mean, just in general for athletes, you would think that they would deserve more. I mean, we see Lamar Odom, everything he does with his chubby wife. I mean, seriously. I mean, are you an athlete or are you a person first? If I was an athlete, I mean, yeah, I get paid a lot of money, or whatever. But at the same time, I still have to go grocery shopping. I don't want someone in my face. I mean, do you have to be a role model because you're an athlete?
I mean, no, you don't have to be a role model. I think any parent that tells their children that athletes are their role model, they have very poor parenting skills. Me myself being a
Tell him
parent,
stop calling this
I
way.
never
Tell him
tell
stop.
my son that an athlete who he doesn't know, that has no connection with him personally, that's who you should look up to. That's who you should strive to be. No, these people just have flaws, just like us all. Speaking of flaws, this brings us to our second topic of real talk, which is the immigration laws in Arizona. How this affect MLB? What do you think about that, Fish?
Well, I think that as far as what they're doing in Arizona, it's just blatant racism. Because what they're doing with people in Arizona, especially people of Latin descent, I don't see them up near Canada racial profiling Canadians when they come across the border. So, I mean, it's obvious racism. And from Arizona, I mean, they have a history of this anyway. I mean, they just got like Martin Luther King Day like last week. So it's not like it should never come as a shock when you talk about that state. And as far as the situation they're putting themselves in, I mean, I'm pretty sure if Major League Baseball wanted to move the All Star game, which is in Arizona, when next year,
Next year.
if Major League Baseball moves that All Star game, I'm pretty sure the people of Arizona are gonna be really upset at all that lost money that should be coming in their way.
But do you think that just I know that there's a precedent has been set. The NFL, they stepped to the front. They said, well, there wouldn't be any Super Bowls until you acknowledge and celebrate Martin Luther King's birthday. Do you think that MLB should step to the forefront and say, listen, we're not going to have the All Star game here? And do you think that any of the other sports and the other sports organizations, such as the NBA, NHL, should say, look, because of this law, the way this law discriminates against immigrants, that racially profiles them, that they should withdraw their big events out of the state of
Well,
Phoenix?
well, for baseball, I mean, it's got a big Latin population, so it affects them more than anybody. And you have your best players are Latin descent. I mean, if you look around the board, you have Hanley Ramirez, who plays for the Florida Marlins. You have Albert Pujols, who's the best baseball player in baseball. If you're going to disrespect their culture and in terms of racially profiling, and you have an All-Star game in Arizona, I, I don't expect them to show up. They're doing the right thing. And for people out there who are discussing and saying that, well, we shouldn't bring politics into sports, well, maybe you might be not part of that kind of culture. You might be the former majority or whatnot. But in this regard, I mean, if your people are being discriminated in a state that's doing it by themselves, basically stating that, you know, if we feel that a Spanish person, we see a Spanish person, we're going to pull them over and check their papers or whatnot. Off that alone, I wouldn't want to play that. And matter of fact, baseball should go even bigger and take spring training out of Arizona, because you have to back your players. You have to. And I think they would do the Latin players a big injustice by not doing that.
I have a thought real quick, and then I might have a closing thought as well. But I want you guys to chime in on this. Jump in at any point. I have a question to ask. On the fringe of Cinco de Mayo, let's say coming up, somebody decides to go out and get some Coronas or whatever. You know, that's kind of profiling right there. But anyway, I know what I'm talking about. They get a bunch of drinks in them. They go, for a ride, and one of your family members is out, and they're seriously injured or actually killed, or anyone close to you. It doesn't have to be a family member. After the accident, you find out this person was illegal. Would you support this bill then, or would you still keep the same stance? And this is a fairly liberal show for those of y'all who are listening. So that kind of factors into the angle we're coming
we're
at.
in America. This country is built on immigrants. So, I mean, everybody here has.
And this is
immigrant
coming
descent.
from an immigrant.
Exactly. I have
Nah.
my parents are from Nigeria. I was born here. So yeah, this touches home. This touches home for me. I think that a lot of times, especially for Spanish people take advantage of them anyway. They don't
But
have
what if
their
what if
papers,
that
they work
happened
with
to you though? What if that happened? What
I
if
mean,
some?
obviously, I'll be upset, but I won't blame the law over it. I won't blame the law over it because you have dirty people everywhere that do that. I mean, prime example, Dante Stallworth ran somebody over. So should he be exiled from the United States because he ran that kid over?
He's here illegally.
But who cares? He's still doing dirt.
Evidently, we do. It's an issue, right?
Yeah, he's doing dirt.
I mean,
It's a difference between Stallworth and Puerto Rico.
There is
Why? 'Cause
a
it's
difference.
culture, it's skin
I
color?
mean, I think
No.
there is a difference, but at the end of the day, a crime being committed is a crime being committed. Whether it's someone that's a naturalized U.S. citizen, a illegal immigrant, or a legal immigrant. I just think this law that they're passing into effect racially profiles people, and I think that's against everyone's constitutional right. Because where does it stop then?
Well, Mexico has strong immigration laws. We can't just sneak into Mexico. So I mean, why can't the same go for it? I don't think they went about it, speaking of the the conservatives, the right way necessarily. And I don't like the fact that there's people who are legal U.S. citizens that are being checked. I don't agree with everything, but at the same time, something needs to be done. It's not just Arizona. It's in Florida, Texas. It's not just an Arizona problem. And race factors in, like you said earlier, Fish. It's a big part of what we're talking about. Y'all got any other further thoughts on that?
Well, as far as what you made, as far as the comment, I mean, I agree with Will said. A crime is a crime. No matter who commits it, at the end of the day, it's a crime. No matter how you see it, I mean, no matter how it's played out, it's a crime. But as far as, I mean, for any person to say race doesn't play a role in this issue, I mean, you obviously have never been in the United States. And as far as racial profiling, I mean, it's not just a black thing, it's not a brown thing. It's a every minority thing. It's not just, I mean, and when I say minority, we talking gays, Jewish, even poor white people. It's not just about one group in general. Racial profiling is more than just one group.
All right, fellas. Now that's real talk. Hey, man, thanks for joining us this week. And my closing thoughts on that is money makes the world go round. There's Brian getting paid millions. Get over that question. Mexicans work for dirt cheap and Republicans hire them, man. It's all about money. Anyway, thanks for joining us. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.